Hi, Rachel. Thanks for joining us. So
Hi.
next up, we got Rachel Heinzinger. Rachel is the senior e-commerce manager at Tiesta Tea, and she joined there in 2017 as a marketing assistant and started with PR and partnerships. And after 3 months, they asked her to manage e-commerce for the company. Wow, we all know what fun that is. Um, and now, over the last 3 years, her and her team have taken that online business from 200,000 to about 3.5 million this year. And she's now managing marketing and e-commerce, working with the operations to ensure a perfect consumer experience on and off the platform. So, Rachel, welcome, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. And thanks for having me today. There's been so many great conversations had, a lot about omni-channel, supply chain, inventory, all things that I'll be chatting about today, and definitely from the brand perspective. So just to kick it off a little bit about Tiesta Tea and kind of why I named my presentation Building Immunity During a Pandemic is that Tiesta Tea is a Chicago-based loose leaf tea company. And we started in 2010 with basing our teas off of separating our teas based on what they do for your body naturally. So we broke them down into 5 functions. And one of the functions is an immunity line. And I don't know if that worked in our favor during COVID, but it definitely did not hurt us. So moving forward, a little background about me. As Chuck mentioned, I started 3 years ago, got placed on e-commerce shortly after starting, and it's been a little bit of a test over the last 2 years. And right when we're about to have one of our most successful years in 2020, COVID hits, and who knows what's going to happen, but we were prepared, we were set up for success, and it kind of worked out. So both Chuck mentioned this morning, and Linda also mentioned in her presentation, that e-commerce is now at where it would have been in 3 to 5 years. And it's a crazy amount of growth. And also the stat that 80% of consumers shopped online during COVID definitely proves that online grocery is here to stay. I don't see that percentage going down or it changing back to just in-store, since this has become a new way of life, and, or as some people like to say, the new normal. So going into what I'll be talking about today, I'll talk about the struggles we faced, the lessons we learned, the successes we had, and kind of what you can use moving forward, even if you're not a small business like us, but maybe just something that you didn't think of before. So there's no doubt that there was plenty of struggles during COVID and quarantine, but these are definitely the 3 that our company dealt with the most. To start, demand side shock, kind of figuring out what needs to be produced, the scary part of the panic buying. Everyone was emptying the grocery stores and then shopping online. Inventory went out fast. And for us, Q2 and Q3 is usually when sales wind down a little bit, just because hot tea season usually is around Q4 and the beginning of Q1. So we definitely weren't prepared inventory wise for there to be this big boost of sales and engagement during this time, that people were buying as much tea and anything healthy that they could possibly get their hands on. So it was definitely a demand side shock for us, with all of our inventory. And then also kind of how everyone's mentioned is supply chain, logistics, procurement, all of it from every side, from producing, receiving, sending it out, all that stuff. And so if you got your packaging from China, China was shut down for a while. And then once you got it, producing it was also tough. And then getting it to the consumer also took a little bit more time than it normally would. So still trying to ensure that great customer experience was tough, but we were able to get through it. And then in addition, staffing during that time. We own and operate our own distribution center, and it comes with its perks and benefits, but definitely sometimes there are struggles there. If one person got COVID, a few others were also happened to getting it. And so we definitely had to bring in some extra hands in that time, but also ensure safety. But we had to get our packages out. We needed to have our warehouse staffed, and we did what we had to do. So moving on into the successes and lessons learned, I'm going to start with, we just happen to be in a lucky industry as a tea company right now, and being more on the functional side, that was kind of what saw a peak. Tea is something that is naturally good for your body. We use all natural ingredients, and all teas across the board saw a huge bump in sales. Tea was selling off the shelves in grocery stores, and then online, a bunch of new tea companies started, which is awesome to see, but also gave us a lot of lessons and successes to take home. So going into the successes that we had was kind of what I've mentioned before, is that we do have an immunity line, but we also have our Energizer line, our Relaxer line, Eternity, which is full of antioxidants, and the immunity line as well. So it was great to see that different people were trying different types of tea at that time. And since people were at home, they were more willing to try a new tea, or if they had a tea at their office that they weren't getting to have, had to find it online. And if they found a better or more affordable company, they were able to try that. Also, we were ready. We were set up for success online. We had our Amazon set up, our Walmart set up, our own website ready to go. We have been waiting for this point to start the year, and we did not know what was going to happen. We didn't know if all of a sudden no one was going to be buying from us. They were just looking to just buy the necessities and not a beverage that they could drink to help their immune system. But luckily for us, they were, and we were ready to go. Everything was insured for a safe customer experience, and that was very important at that time. And we were able to pivot very quickly. We're a team of 21 people, so very small. If we have an idea one day, we're able to push it out. So if we wanted to talk about how tea is good for your immune system, or how ginger is an anti-inflammatory, we were able to get that information out fast through many email blasts, through ads, and it definitely led to more sales. Which leads me into, with the higher demand, as much as that is a struggle, it also brings in a little bit more revenue. And we have always positioned ourselves as an affordable, understandable, and accessible tea company. And that also helped during this time, because we are more of, who mentioned this earlier? I think Amanda might have mentioned this, that everyone can be a challenger brand at this time. And I've always thought of us to be as a challenger brand, because we're not your grandma's Earl Grey. We are exotic tea flavors that kind of stretch the rules of tea a little bit. We have a lot of herbal teas that may not contain tea leaves, but has the consistency and build of a tea. Like take our Maui mango, for example. There's orange slices, mango pieces, pineapple, hibiscus, all that creates this strong immunity drink full of vitamin C for you. So being a challenger brand during this time was definitely huge, just because you are a brand that can break those rules and kind of get to tell your story a little bit more. So that kind of helped with doing that for us as well. And we also took this time to build brand loyalty and definitely have a great customer experience. With the delays in shipping, we needed to figure out a way to improve that. And so by offering cheaper shipping or lower shipping rates, and the days that me and a few of my other coworkers worked in our distribution center, we were sure to include a note in making sure that everyone's families were safe. And that was just definitely a big part of the beginning of March, or the end of March, April, and May, to make sure that our customers felt safe and that they were receiving a good product. So kind of into the lessons that we've learned, it's also always about the mindset and the different things that you can do. There's always things that you can learn, but kind of what we're taking away from this is that you definitely just have to prepare for the unknown. You don't know what the end of Q4 is going to bring us, if there is going to be a second wave, if there is going to be this lift in panic buying again, and you have to be able to pivot quickly. If there is this second wave, who knows how bad it will be, but you have to be ready to have your inventory ready, have your supply chain all set. And then that kind of goes into forecasting based on that. I think now, looking at how we figure out future inventory, we have to put this into consideration. If there is another panic buying, we want to make sure that we're fully stocked and can offer our products to everyone and our retailers. So kind of going forward, you have to make sure that that's something that you think of. And then definitely, I had to throw this in here just because as staffing was a struggle of ours, you have to be overly safe with your employees, following all the basic guidelines of 6 feet or more, masks, gloves, ensure their safety first. And if we're running a safe business, then our customers will know that they're receiving a safe product. In addition, this is just a great time while we are in this newer normal, not back to where we'd like it to be yet, but a great time to improve how the supply chain works. If there were holes in it in the beginning of April, these are the times to look into it, see what can be fixed, if something can be changed, if you need to switch suppliers somewhere that could be faster, this is the time and place to change that. And then also, we talked about this in one of our roundtables, make shopping as easy as possible. If someone sees your ad or comes across your product, make it so easy that it's mindless. That during this time, so many people are on their phones and like watching TV and on their phones and on their iPads and working from home. So this was a great opportunity to start running those ads. Obviously, we didn't want to bombard or scare people or force people into anything, but with everyone being on their phones so much during this time, it could have been a great opportunity to capture those people and give them a reason to buy and purchase tea. So now there's a lot of those autofill plugins that you can do with your name and your shipping address and their credit card. I recommend setting it up and just making the customer experience so simple and easy that they didn't have to think twice about it. Some other key takeaways from this, a lot of it is in the lessons learned, but kind of just going to reiterate it. Inventory redundancy is key. Definitely just always have your key products in stock. One thing that we ran into was we were seeing super high orders for our top flavors, and then also higher than normal orders for our not so popular flavors, which we weren't used to producing. So there's this struggle between we need to produce our top flavors because that's what's being bought, but we also need to keep in stock our middle tier flavors that are still getting a lot of eyes at this time because so many people are on our website. And then also tightening up your supply chain, communication is key. It is going to just help the supply chains and logistics perform better. I think this is a big takeaway from everyone talking today, but grocery shopping is not the same anymore. We'll continue to be in store, but also online at a higher rate. So just streamlining grocery shopping to be more accessible is a huge takeaway. Optimizing to the consumer process. So kind of like I said, making that super easy for the consumer to find what they like. If you can have a chatbot on your website to direct them where to go, very successful. And then this is something that you should always be doing, but grow brand trust and consumer loyalty by doing what you would want to receive from other companies. Write them that note, share discount codes with them. They always appreciate it. So that is all that I have for today. I hope that you guys have something to take away from it.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate that. Lord, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Hi, Rachel. We have a question for you.
Hi.
Thank you for sharing that story. It's amazing how, so many brands and manufacturers benefited in a positive way, I guess, from the shutdown. But question for you on how have you enhanced your supply chain and sourcing since it's obviously global? What have you done to future-proof that from demand spikes and potential disruptions?
So from the marketing side, I do try to work as closely with the operations team as I can to understand that side. Throughout all of this, we did change a lot of our packaging to kind of have universal packaging for one of our bigger sellers, our bulk bag. So that also helps with supply chain, so we can place higher orders instead of the minimal orders as like we would normally do, since they're usually all in different colors.
Yeah, that's a smart way to start streamlining. Where can you simplify, right?
Yes.
From the marketing side, any tips on how you were able to enhance the seamless shopping experience, especially from the D2C side? I know you mentioned a few.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is always something that I'm trying to improve, like adding an add-on button, or it was just a new thing that we added the autofill in. After I had experienced it a few times, I was like, this is something that we definitely need to incorporate, because if someone's able to just buy in a one swoop instead of having to get up and get their wallet or go ask for a credit card number, it's a lot easier. And then also with Instagram shopping or offering Amazon Pay, there's all these things that can just make the purchasing process so much easier for the consumer.
Cool. Thank you.
So, Rachel, I got one for you. Not totally e-commerce, but marketing kind of related. So during this time, you got this great line called immunity. It's a great wordplay for it. What did you do to take advantage of that?
So initially we were like, we definitely have to take advantage of this. And then Amazon obviously came back, and we're still struggling with Facebook a little bit for the fact that we used the word immunity, but we've been using it for 10 years now, just to explain that these teas have vitamin C. But we were definitely, our immunity line was the hottest line for that season then, which it's normally just an average one, but any keywords that we could use around that. We didn't throw in hand sanitizer at all, but immunity or boost immune system, anything that we could do, we definitely tried.
Great.
One more question that came in for you, Rachel. So how does the challenge of introducing your brand change when you're finding people on mobile devices more than ever?
So that's a good question. We do see a lot more of our audience coming from mobile. So I guess introducing the brand from mobile is kind of something that we start with and then move to desktop, since most of our audience is coming from mobile. So any way that we could make the mobile process better is kind of where we start. And then desktop is also like the second main focus, since that's like our second most popular spot that people buy from.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. That wrap it up, Laura?
That's it from my side.
Okay, Rachel, thank you very much. Enjoyed it. You have a great day.
Thank you.